Our part of Europe is like the junction of tectonic plates. Therefore, the armed conflict taking place here also never has the character of a local war. Rather, it becomes the trigger of a global geopolitical game. Russia's war against Ukraine is no different. Ukrainian soil today is an arena of struggle, putting at stake not only the independence of Ukraine itself, but also a new geopolitical order. We are witnessing a war that will redefine Europe. However, it turned out that there is no easy return to restoration of the old order desired by Moscow. And Russia today is a colossus with feet of clay, unable to defeat for 9 months a country many times smaller and less populous. Russia has overestimated its own military potential and already knows that victory on the battlefield may not be achievable. Therefore, Moscow is reaching for other methods to break Ukraine. Instead of fighting soldiers, Russia is bringing death, starvation, and hypothermia to civilians. These methods of total warfare have long been in the Russian arsenal. There was more at stake in Russia's actions from the very beginning than the seizure of Ukraine. And since the goal was to rebuild the empire of Russia, reached for imperial methods to achieve this goal. Like Germany, Nazi Germany declared total war in 1942-43 when they saw they are losing. Today, Russia is doing the same. They see that they are losing, and they are therefore reaching for destruction in the face of defeat. Russia does not fight for its citizens or territories. Russia is fighting to rebuild an empire and knows that an empire is built on bones and corpses of innocent people, exactly like 90 years ago during the Holodomor times. And these days, we commemorate the tragedy of the Holodomor. History of Ukraine in particular shows that famine on a national scale is never a natural phenomenon. It is the result of totalitarian management of supply chains, if I may clash such distant terms in one sentence. And Russia today is trying to do the same vis-à-vis Africa and the Middle East. Starve the world in order to take it over. This is the sick logic of Russia. Today, times have changed, but the methods have not. Having failed to take Ukraine by storm, Russia will continue to siege in such a way that the Ukrainian people starve to death or die of hypothermia. This is happening right now when Putin and Russia are attacking all the civilian infrastructure, sanitation, energy infrastructure, and all other infrastructure, creating humanitarian catastrophe. As we can see, the Russians don't learn from history. The Holodomor did not break the Ukrainian nation, even if this was a genocide, a catastrophe beyond any imagination. And today's war crimes will not break Ukraine either. But millions of people could die, and we have to prevent that. We have to prevent that. Famine and war are methods of weak and doomed empires. Empires that do not attract with their civilization offer, but enslave with terror. The massive attacks on civilian targets prove that Russia has moved from imperial war to imperial terror. Putin wants to unleash again the elements that have crushed the Central European nation on more than one occasion. Poland experienced this many times. If we allow Putin to continue, he will become the Stalin of the 21st century. And Ukraine will once again become an arena for deadly games. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kremlin is ready to condemn millions of people to live in poverty just to keep his empire where millions already live in poverty. This is Russia. Ukraine needs military support. Ukraine needs financial support, but it is not enough. The more Russia tries to dismantle the economic system that gives Ukrainians a basis for stability, the more effort we must put into building a new deal free of imperialism. This is not enough for Ukraine to defeat Russia militarily. It still needs to disentangle itself from the web of economic dependencies that Russia has wrapped around the Ukraine economy, services and businesses for years, for decades. Empires don't stop waging wars. Empires don't stop waging wars. They only take short break between them. We cannot return to business as usual with Russia because it would be a return to war as usual. This great effort of introducing a new post-war deal to Ukraine will also require Western resources to rebuild Ukraine. Kyiv needs to know that it has reliable allies in the European Union and the United States and the entire free world who will not let it fall into Moscow's hands again. And Poland will do everything possible to prevent it. Russia wants to turn Ukraine into a great desert of poverty, hunger, and darkness in the middle of Europe. For Russia, Ukraine is to become a monument of the decline of the West and the beginning of a new empire. Imperialism and colonialism know no bounds. The famine that its weapon is to spread and destabilize the whole world. This is why the grain from Ukraine, this initiative which gathered us here today, is so important. It is to secure food supplies to African and Asian countries. We want to support exports of grains from Ukraine to Africa and Middle East, Mr. President. We declared $20 million for this purpose. Putin wants to take millions of people from Ukraine and around the world hostage to suffer and die so that Russia will be great. We cannot allow for this. We will never surrender to those brutal, barbaric regime, and we will always support our friends and partners from Ukraine. Thank you.